Well, today has been an interesting day. I'm in Waterloo, Iowa, right? So still where I shot my last video about that Coronado truck. And I booked a load, or I thought I did, yesterday night. I called the lady, and I guess she was working from home, a Landstar agent in Ontario, Canada. And she gave me this nice load. It's a bit of a long deadhead, 400 miles. I have to go from here to Indiana, but it goes right to, you know, basically Toronto, Ontario, just half an hour away from my home base. But then I waited till now. Now it's like 1:45 Eastern time, or basically 1:45 local time, and I still don't have the freight bill. I don't have the load confirmation. And I've been bugging her, you know, like every couple of hours. But she said she has like 8 trucks, 8 Landstar trucks going there, and she had lots of paperwork to deal with. But at least she said she'll take care of the customs paperwork for me. I won't have to fax or email anything to the customs broker, so which is nice. But still, so right now I only have the bill, the freight bill number, and when I go online to Landstar website, I see that load on my truck. And I know the town in Indiana where I'm supposed to go. So, but I just talked to her, and she, you know, assures me this is my load, nothing is going to change. It just, you know, it happened before when especially when there's such a long deadhead, you know, like 300, 400, 500 miles, and we start driving, and then they either cancel the load or they change the terms of this verbal agreement on you. Like there's for example, there's 2 parts to a load, and they pay, let's say, good money. Then all of a sudden they say, oh, now 1 part is not ready yet. You're gonna pick up only instead of 2 parts, you're gonna pick up only 1 part. Now it's paying, let's say, $2 per mile instead of 3. And I'm already halfway down there. You know, it's no use arguing with them. Anyway, that's why it's always better to wait till you have that load confirmation in your hand, you know, because then at least there's more guarantees that they're not gonna cancel or alter anything on you. But also, I've been thinking about this switch for one of the axles to make it a legal lift axle. And right here next to this Flying J in Waterloo, Iowa, there's a truck and trailer repair shop, and I called them yesterday, and they said they probably won't be able to work on me immediately. I'd have to wait like a couple of days or day, which of course would not work for me. But at least the guy said, let me take a look and I'll tell you if it's possible or not. And he looked at crawled under the trailer, looked at it, and the valve, the main right height valve, is on the axle 2. So which means that the middle axle cannot be lifted, because then that will screw up everything. So I can only lift either axle 1 or axle 3. If I lift axle 1, because it's a 53-foot trailer, I must comply with that maximum 41-foot, you know, rule from kingpin to the middle axle. And if we lift axle 1, then that distance will be measured to the middle between axle 2 and 3. And because my middle axle is at 40-foot mark, and I have 6 feet between the axle, that means that my wheelbase will become 43, which would be illegal, both in Canada and US, so I cannot do that. I'll get a ticket for sure. So now the only remaining axle is 3, or also I can lift both axle 1 and axle 3 and just you know, use the middle axle. Then it'll be at 40-foot mark when empty. But that's like, I don't know, probably that's what I should do. But a rear axle, I have such a long overhang, you know. I mean, I would have a long overhang, and that axle would be sitting there and probably just, you know, 2 inches off the ground. So I don't know. Basically, we agreed that probably it's best to keep these axles, you know, as is, the way they are. And then I decided, my hands were scratching, you know, itching. I wanted to fix something. So there's a small shop on the other side of the road. I went there, I let him check all my, you know, tire air pressure, because you know, I've been hauling some heavy loads, and I haven't been still sure about the what tire pressure I should maintain in those trailer axles. Like the thing on the front of the trailer, that plate says 120 psi, which sounds crazy, but this guy at the shop says actually with those tires, he says, like a step deck trailer, you should keep 120. I said okay. So he put in 120 in there, so 100 on the drives and 110 as I asked him on the steers, because I have low profile tires. So that's good. So that's done. Then I started looking in this problem, why one of my airbags keeps you know, screwed up, keeps getting screwed up on the front axle and sometimes on the rear axle when I'm empty. And I called Hendrickson, because I have their suspension, and the guy says, what's your ride height? And I said, I don't have a clue, I don't know. And he says, oh, look for there should be like a plate, looks like a serial plate on each axle. He says on your trailer, it's a step deck trailer, usually it should be on the inside beam underneath the trailer. So I crawled for an hour under the trailer, couldn't find a single piece, and that plate basically should state the exact make, not just make, I know the make, Hendrickson, but it should state the model and the ride height, you know. Couldn't find it. Anyway, so I called the dealer. The dealer did not know. Gave him the VIN number. He said he'll talk to the engineering at the Transcraft plant. I said, forget it, I have their phone number. So I called Transcraft in Kentucky myself, said I need to talk to the engineering, left him a message. 2 hours later, I got a reply. So the guy said, it doesn't matter what your suspension is, as long as you have a step deck trailer, not a flatbed and not a lowboy. He says all step deck trailers have the ride height of 6.5 inches. And he also said that especially on a 3-axle trailer, he says you can increase the height to 7.5 inches. And he says that higher you know, air pressure, higher height might be better for 3-axle trailers. So that's what I'm gonna do now. I found a level ground, like I'm at the Flying J again here. I went to the other one, to the other truck stop. What is it? The Road Ranger. I came back here because the ground over there was all tilted, all screwed up, so I need level ground. And I bought a measuring tape, and I crawled again under the trailer, and I found how they measure. So they measure from the top of the airbag to the center of the axles. And when I tried to measure it over there at that other truck stop, it was only 6 inches, you know, not even 6.5. I was measuring on the middle axle, so I'm going to measure now, but there's a couple of bolts in there that I can undo, and I can move that little valve higher, and I'll just probably use like the next hole, because it has like a whole bunch of holes that you can use, kind of like preset, you know, ride heights. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. So it's going to be real exciting, guys, so don't fall asleep. Let me just get my couple of screwdrivers and wrenches, and we'll go under the trailer into the mysterious world of Hendrickson suspensions. Stay tuned. So I'm under the trailer, and I see when I attach the measuring tape like that, that's the axle over there. It's a huge piece of hardware, but you see the middle of the axle, I don't know, it's even at maybe between 5 and 6, maybe even 5 inches. That's supposed to be 6.5, unless the ground here is screwed up, I don't know. And there's controls over there. That's what I have to adjust. Well, I moved that little lever here by one hole, and the suspension started rising. And now now it became, I think it went up. It's still on uneven ground here. But check this out. See this? This is the center of the axle. Now I think it became closer to 7.5. Yeah. So just one pole, and I guess that's why they have them there. Originally I wanted to move by 2 holes, but that probably would be too much. So this is great. So we're gonna put, and I remember it was on the 3rd pole. So now all I need is not lose these little bolts, which are a pain in the butt to tighten. They're very strong. I mean, you have to work to make them tight. And now I'll see how my suspension reacts when I'm empty. Should be better now. Well, I assembled them back. This was pretty difficult, but now I see my front airbag, the one that was usually giving me a hard time, sits taller, which is good. One more thing, forgot to mention another interesting adventure happened to me here in Waterloo, Iowa. I'm just getting to leave. I still don't have the paperwork for the load. Forget it. I have the load number. I'm gonna go, my next stop is gonna be Davenport, or rather Wolcott, you know, the TA-80, the world's biggest truck stop. That's roughly 2 hours from here. But one thing that happened is that as I was sitting at one of these 2 truck stops here in Waterloo, Iowa, I kept seeing all this green machinery, you know, John Deere farm tractors, and mostly they were on lowboy trailers, but they didn't seem that tall, you know, so I'm pretty sure I can pick one of those and still be legal. And a guy next to me that had one of these on his bed actually had the Ontario license plate, had the lift axles everywhere. So no one cares about these regulations. People just think more about, you know, how to save on tire wear and improve the fuel mileage. But anyway, I see they all have this John Deere machinery, right? So I emailed one of the agents and I said, I see this phenomenon, right? So can you find out if there's any shippers somewhere nearby, because it looks like this whole bunch of them. So it looks like this shipper, this machinery shipper, is somewhere nearby. Now this guy writes me back saying that, well, if you could find at least the name of the shipper. Alright, so I do a search online, and actually that's my favorite thing. You know, if I hadn't become a driver, I'd probably be some kind of information broker, or you know, when you do research for money, maybe even a private detective. I don't know. I just like, you know, looking for stuff, especially on the internet, when you let your fingers do the walking. Anyway, so I was pretty sure that the name on the machine was John Deere. So I type in John Deere plants, nothing. Okay, John Deere locations just gives me the headquarters, and they're somewhere in Illinois. And then I go to their main website, and there's an interesting tab called Plant Tours. So you can, I don't know if it's free or you have to pay, but you can go to a plant and they will take you around, show you all the cool stuff. So I thought, wait a second, maybe they list their locations over there. I click on that, and sure enough, there's all the plants. They're called works around Illinois and Iowa. And the last item on that list was Waterloo, Iowa tractor assembly plant. What the heck, right here. And actually I look on the map at the address. That plant where they assemble these tractors is basically like 2 miles north of me, and that's where all these guys were coming from. And actually also they have another plant here called Engine Works, where they make engines for these trucks. So basically this is a very good place to be trucking from, you know, if you have your dispatch tuned in to these things. So I used to haul a couple of construction machines from John Deere. So I emailed that agent that I know has that contract, and he emailed me back saying this agency does not work with John Deere Green. So I guess they don't work with farm equipment. They only handle the construction side. See? Weird. So I'm sitting right here where there's two huge plants and no one has anything. So now I have to deadhead 400 miles. I repeat, 400 miles, 400, to Indiana and pick up some stupid container, but at least it pays like $3.60 per mile, that goes to Toronto. And that's the essence of trucking. It's not what you haul or what kind of equipment you have. It's who you know. Because if I had known some, you know, guy, if I had some kind of an in at this plant, I wouldn't have to deadhead. I could just pick up some nice load. Well, what do you do? Well, time to start trucking. My next stop is Iowa 80. Thanks for watching.